Real Madrid skipping the Ballon d'Or again is making people ask questions. In today's news, we'll cover that whole situation, discover the tiny African islands on the verge of making history at the World Cup, and discuss how Otamendi and Moises Caicedo could be screwed for the tournament. In Europe though, Haaland's 5 goals and 2 assists must have Pep Guardiola licking his lips ahead of this weekend's Manchester derby. Bro, honestly, it's so nice to see Norway are finally cooking. England are also doing well with 5 wins out of their last 6 matches under Thomas Tuchel. Bukayo Saka is out injured, and so is Jude Bellingham, who was spotted looking like he was having a pretty good time with his girlfriend. But so yeah, new faces stepped in. Mark Gahey, Konsa, and Madueke all scored their very first goals for the England national team, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to look at Madueke a little differently now. I'm not saying he's about to win the Ballon d'Or, but he got my attention low-key. Speaking of the Ballon d'Or, we'll get into that along with why Trent is catching strays, but first, we're on the verge of seeing history made. I'm not gonna lie, FIFA got a lot of backlash for expanding the tournament to 48 teams, but honestly, from this point of view, it's a W, bro. I mean, Cape Verde is literally a group of tiny islands off the coast of West Africa, and they're on the verge of making the World Cup for the very first time. Bro, one more win, and at 525,000 people about, they'll become the second smallest country by population size to ever play in a final. Like a tournament final though, the World Cup or the Euros, the smallest ever country to do it by population has been Iceland in the Euros. This is what their group is looking like right now, 4 points clear of Cameroon. Elsewhere in Africa though, yesterday Egypt tied to Burkina Faso, which means they didn't quite qualify for the World Cup yet. They'll have to do it in the next international break. Unfortunately, during that match, Omar Marmoush sustained a knee injury, so he might be a doubt for this weekend's Manchester derby. One team I really want to see make the World Cup is South Africa. I mean, this was them after the match. They drew with Nigeria and then were singing with the fans, but before the match, bro, this was them in the changing room. Just listen to this. Tell me they're not a vibe, bro. Anyways, African nations aren't the only ones on the verge of making history. At 13,000 feet above sea level, Brazil could not hang, and now Bolivia snatched that playoff spot from Venezuela. Bruh, they have not made the World Cup in 32 years. Listen to what it means to the commentator.
Pelota Garay, por favor, señores, estamos en el repechaje. Estamos en el repechaje. Lo logramos, volvimos al mundial y estamos ahí.
That is so sick. Now, it didn't mean much for qualifying, but Ecuador beating Argentina means they now lose their #1 ranking. Both France and Spain won their 2 matches this break, so they'll likely go ahead of them. That wasn't the only L though. Otamendi getting a red card means he'll now miss the first match of the World Cup, literally. And the same goes for Caicedo, which is probably an even bigger loss for Ecuador. And if you were wondering, could they sit out for a friendly and get that erased? No, it has to be like a FIFA World Cup competition. You know, if there was more qualifiers, it would be a race, but there's not. That brings us to the Ballon d'Or, bro. It's being said Real Madrid are about to skip this thing again this year. Now, if the reason was they didn't want to waste their time because they would already know who the winner was, I wouldn't really blame them because, bro, let's be honest, a Fabrizio bomb is about to come within the next week or 2. But that's not why. Last year, they did the same thing last minute after finding out that Vini lost the award to Rodri. So I guess they're not about to show up until another Real Madrid player wins it. For some reason, Trent is out here catching strays though. He said this is really gonna impact Trent's chances. Big blow to Real Madrid's second choice right back. Why y'all gotta violate him like that? This is a valid point though. This guy said, I don't get it. Why this year? We were expecting one of ours to win it after a title this season. Are we not going until one of our players wins it? Doesn't Florentino realize just how entitled, childish, and unserious does this make us look? Or honestly, that's true, but you know what'd be really savage is if a Real Madrid player wins it and they still don't show up. It makes me think though, you know, we had the new Club World Cup, the Super League tried to be created. I wouldn't be surprised if someone tries to start a new trophy or something. I guess that's what the Globe Football Awards though is. I don't know, that just doesn't hit the same though. Anyways, that's the news, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow.